ES&S that we currently have, their new equipment is not federally certified or certified in the state of Iowa yet. So even if we wanted to purchase it today, we couldn't. If we could purchase it, we couldn't use it because it's not certified yet. And I don't know how long that timeline will be. The second piece of equipment is, we refer to as the ADA device, American for Disabilities Act device. This is required. Some system is required by the Help America Vote Act for a person with blindness or visual impairment to vote privately. And what we have now is a 40-pound machine that's called the Automark. That's the manufacturer name. And we don't get a lot of use whether we put those out in the precincts. There are a lot of trouble for us to program and to test. We do put them out in the precincts as required by federal law. This would replace that machine, but it also has some other capabilities in addition to meeting the ADA requirements. So the difference between, there's difference in technology today from what we purchased 10 years ago. But there's, in my opinion, better equipment, better technology. Today, this equipment is more software driven as opposed to hardware driven. Hardware driven is much harder to get the federal certification and the state certification for changes and updates. With the software certification, I told you ES&S hasn't got their current equipment certified, or what they're showing is not certified yet, and it wasn't certified a year ago. In the meantime, Unison has had 2 certifications for the software, so in the past 12 months. So that's pretty cool. It's a lot of work, a lot of investment for the company to take that through certification process, but it's a lot easier from the software side, and this is software driven. It allows us a lot greater flexibility. One of the main advantages is we have been using a 14-inch ballot in Cerro Gordo County for the past 20 years. 4 years ago, at the gubernatorial general election in November, we struggled to fit. We worked 2.5 days to fit everything on 2 sides of the 14-inch ballot. We received a special waiver. All counties in Iowa received a waiver to remove some required headings required by administrative code on the ballot in order to fit it. And yet the company, ES&S in Omaha, wasn't able to fit everything on a 14-inch ballot. Well, that creates a lot of issues, and I could talk about that, but I don't really want to spend the time. We really needed to fit that on a 14-inch ballot. In Cerro Gordo County, we worked 2.5 days. We finally did it, and in fact, the company, ES&S in Omaha, asked for our files so they could mirror it in other counties. We are not limited to a 14-inch ballot with the new technology. We can use an 11-inch ballot, a 14, 17, a 19, and a 21-inch ballot is the longest. Hopefully we never see anything like that in Iowa. But we have, it's scalable, and I mean, that's huge to me. If we had to hand every voter 2 ballots and then have 2 different machines to count, because we would have to have different systems to count those ballots today, that would be a real nightmare for just administratively, the time it takes to vote would just be a nightmare. So much greater flexibility on that. There's some other benefits. Counting the write-in votes for the precinct officials, it's they say they just fall in love with that aspect of the process. This machine, I said there were some other capabilities. It meets all the ADA requirements, it meets the federal certifications, but theoretically, there's no reason that a voter could not use, if we're running low on ballots at the polling place, voters could use this because they don't vote on the same ballot. So there's a roll of paper in here that prints out the ballot. So that's pretty cool. All we have to have is a blank roll of paper as backup to refill it. That comes into play from when we use vote centers. We have to have in Mason City 12 different ballot types at 10 different locations and manage those inventories and make sure we don't run out of any one of those types in any one of those locations. That's very difficult administratively. Here, we wouldn't have to worry so much about running out. We could have people vote on this if necessary. Same for absentee voting, in-person absentee voting. If we have a satellite absentee voting station, a NIAC would be a great example. Young people, they're going to flock to the touchscreen technology. But we would not, again, have to worry about managing the ballot type inventories the concern that we have today. So there's some other benefits, but that's all I'll say for now. And Jay, you want to do a demonstration?
Yes. What's important to note is in Ken reflected is this ballot, from a voter standpoint, they probably wouldn't even notice a difference on election day. It's filling in an oval just like they are today. The key difference is that, as Ken mentioned, this is software driven versus hardware constrained. So when there's updates, we do not have any legacy systems, so we're able to enhance the system. We've already done it once in Iowa, in other states throughout the US. So we've been able to adapt and add additional features to the system. But if a person were to vote correctly, or just vote in general, come up to the unit, slide it in, it will drop it in the ballot box as it is today. One difference is that with the screen here, if I happen to overvote, what will happen is it will actually, if you come up and look at the screen, it will tell you exactly what office that you overvoted in.